Good morning. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for today's live Insights from the Herd. So today we are going to talk about the power of using breath with your horses. I want to quickly go over a couple of things and introduce myself before we get started. First, I just want to share with you that in the description of this post on Facebook here in the group, you'll see a link, and it starts with eCam. And that link, if you'll click on that, will give you the option to do a simple click to give permission, and then your comments will be visible to me throughout this live. So please do that so that we can engage and we can connect. And I want to just quickly introduce myself to those of you who may not know me. My name is Crystal Avera. I have done quite a bit of research on horse happiness. Specifically, it started with burnout in therapy horses during my master's program. And I then began to discover there was a need for more discovery and more inquiry on the subject of horse happiness and horses being stressed and best care practices. So you can find more about my research on my website, and you see that here on the screen, crystalavera.com. Then you can go over to my blog from my website menu, and you'll see all of my research there. And there's a specific option to select the subject of academic research in my blog, and then you can actually take a look at all of my research in full, as well as some of the articles and different things that I've published. I also have created a e-course called Transform that is all about connecting to your inner wisdom, really trusting yourself and your horse, and changing life with and for your horse in a lasting way, in a really deep, authentic way. And I produce a blog called Giving a Voice to the Horses. So it's all about sharing information and sharing from the horse's perspective. And there I share more on my research, more on the insights from the horses that I receive as an animal communicator and an energy medicine practitioner. And I also connect with others who are doing the work for the horses. So that's me. And again, today we're going to talk about breath. So I get the question often, how do I connect with my horse and honor my horse as the master teacher? Or how do I really connect to the energy? Because those of you who are here in the Horse and Soul Journey Tribe and know a little bit about my work or see the things that I publish, you know that I very specifically talk a lot about the energy and how important the energy is, and how the energy is at the absolute, is at the root, is the absolute foundation of creating the life that we desire with our horses. And that information has come to me from the horses, from horses in my life, as well as clients and horses that I've worked with over the years as a professional. When I was a professional horsemanship instructor, and also through my current practice as a animal communicator and energy medicine channel, where I offer the Horse and Soul sessions to dig deeper and really connect with your horse. So today I wanted to focus on the one aspect that is super important when it comes to connecting to the energy, or asking your horse as the master teacher to give you feedback, to give you information, to answer questions you might have. And that is breath. So those of you who have a mindfulness practice, or maybe you practice yoga in your life, any type of practice that incorporates breath, you already know and experience the power that breath has to allow us to connect to Mother Nature and to connect to ourselves, our authentic selves, and dig deeper for ourselves. And you also probably know the health benefits of deep breathing and mindful breathing. So I want to really just focus on how that translates to being beneficial in your life with your horse. So, breath. And when I say breath, and I do mean that mindful breathing, that deep breath. So to give you more insight into what I'm talking about, I'll just describe the breath that I'm talking about that can really be helpful to you and that we're going to talk about today. So if you want to join me, we'll just take one solid deep breath. So as you inhale, feel the breath going into your lungs and allow that breath and focus on that breath going deeper down into your stomach. Experience your belly expanding out with that breath. And maybe a little pause before you exhale, if that's available to you. Then exhale, and I envision it like an accordion. So start with your stomach, pushing that breath up. So from that bottom up, that breath is going to be coming from you as you exhale out your mouth. Okay, so one more time. Expand your belly. Take a little pause or a sip, and then exhale. Let it come up. And just from that, this one moment, this breath here that we've done, you probably feel some relaxation, maybe a little bit more calmness. You can start to really feel the benefits that breath offers you. So imagine you're in a moment with your horse. You just don't know what to do. Things that maybe bring up some fear for you or tension go from that relaxed place to a reactionary place. Maybe you're on your horse and your horse starts to feel tension or get spooked, and that causes you to take on the tension. This is all energy transformation between you guys. You're sharing energy. So I think it's very important when we talk about these things to also acknowledge the beauty and the magic in the energy sharing that we have with our horses, rather than seeing these as good or bad experiences. They can become very uncomfortable, and they can moments of fear, for instance, can cause a long-term perspective of worry or tension for the human when it comes to the horse. So in that particular instance where something has happened, where you have been hurt or scared with your horse, or in a moment where you feel that your horse is scared and that transfers over to you energetically, so you get tense. Number one, I of course want to say it's very important that you do whatever is needed to get safe. So if you're on your horse, you might need to get off your horse. If you're on the ground with your horse, you might need to get your horse to a place, put your horse in a space physically and yourself in a space where you can feel safe. So absolutely do that first. But then when you know that you're safe physically, take a moment before you get into your head, before you start the questions, before you go to the things that you've been told, like maybe you're supposed to do, move your horse around on the ground or do some lateral flexion, those kind of things. You might have learned over the years that you're supposed to do certain things. Before you do any of that, and maybe instead of, take a deep breath and take multiple deep breaths if it's needed. that breath we just talked about and that we just went through together, where you take it all the way in deeply and let your belly expand, and then you push it out from your belly up like an accordion. Play with that in those moments, and with a curious mind, with the focus on inquiry as the goal, not with any specific outcome expectation. And experience how that feels. Because these deep breaths, there are, as we said before, there are so many wonderful benefits to deep breathing for our physical health. But it also, with our horses and in life in general, very specifically will usually calm us. It will help us find relaxation. And if you incorporate some specific things with your deep breathing, such as envisioning yourself getting really grounded, maybe envisioning roots growing from your feet down into the ground, and then really opening your eyes and your heart, and observing and feeling all the connection to Mother Nature around you. Often when we are with our horses, we're most likely in Mother Nature by default, because that's where they live. So observe how it feels to be standing in the forest if you're out on a trail ride, or observing how the dirt under your feet feels, or the breeze is blowing in the wind around you. Feel every bit of Mother Nature, the birds, the butterflies, every aspect of Mother Nature. In those moments where you stop to take that deep breath, feel those roots growing from your feet, and observe how it feels to really be connected to Mother Nature, and let that be your focus. Also, I recommend incorporating gratitude for what is showing up in that moment for you and your horse. Because again, absolutely everything is beautiful. What we consider the messy stuff in life in our society today may be even more beautiful than the stuff that seems to be showing up that's so put together. So adding the gratitude from your heart as you really connect to the breath and connect to Mother Nature around you will give you a very different experience in moments where you're afraid or frustrated or tense, or your horse is tense. And then from that space and that place, energetically ask your horse the question you need to ask. And by beginning with breath and incorporating the connection and the gratitude, you will find that you are more open, and the answers will come when you do ask the question. You're more connected, so there are the answers. So that also will help with receiving the answers when you do ask your horse, or you do ask for your own inner guidance. Also, a really powerful benefit of using the breath with your horse is it causes you to pause. It causes you to be in the moment versus act or react. And simply by being there versus doing things to your horse or with your horse will really, you'll see so many things happen organically that you didn't need to control, or you didn't need to be the one that, you didn't need to even ask your horse for anything. So, for instance, if you are taking your horse to get a drink of water after, say, a trail ride or a session of some kind, or it's a super hot day, and you know that your horse needs water, so you start to offer the water. I've seen people do lots of different things, like maybe splash their hand in the water, talk to the horse, try to motion for the horse in some way, invite the horse to the water. Is a perfect example I've seen over and over and over, where if you just connect to the breath and don't have any expectation, but energetically sort of get out of the horse's way and just think of yourself as holding space. And breathe. And then just continue to breathe, because as human beings, we often will get into our head about these things. The horse will show you the energy in a moment like that, and how to really connect to the energy, and how the energy flow in an organic way really occurs. Because when the horse is ready, the horse will drink. You can experience this with everything, with tacking up, with preparing your horse for the farrier, or if you trim your horse yourself, preparing the horse for the vet. As you, even, when you're on your horse on a ride, you can really experience this in every aspect, and the breath is such a huge part of it. And then before we sign off today, I just want to also say that these insights from the Herd Facebook Lives literally are intended for me to share information that I've learned from the horses. Sometimes it will be a message that the horses want me to share in that moment, and sometimes it will be a message or lessons that I've learned from the horses, from the collective herd over the years through my work. And this is a perfect example of that. So this connecting to the breath in a mindful way has been something that I've learned from the horses, and is a really powerful ingredient to beginning to really connect to the energy and ask your horse to show you the way. Okay, until next Friday, have a beautiful week. Aloha.